Hey everyone, what's up? It's ToadJai99 back at you with another tier list. But in today's video, we're not doing Paragon, we're not doing Fault, we're not doing Predecessor, we're doing Pokemon Unite. Hit new game coming out from Nintendo Studios, and it's a lot of fun. Playing with the squad a lot, ranks, casual, everything in between. So let's get into it. So I've been seeing a lot of tier lists out there these days that, the game's still pretty new, but they're very questionable. I've seen people saying like Charizard's trash, Venusaur's trash. There is no trash Pokemon in the game, like none. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You can use every single Pokemon, excel with them, and dominate the scene. So let's start off going to go bottom to top. I don't really like this setup. I'm gonna be honest. So let me change that real quick, and I'll get back to you. So, to start off, this is how I think it should be all set. You go trash, situational, consistent minus, and consistent. It's more like like an A plus and not an A plus A, but like a B plus and a B, because they're so close together, but they just perform slightly worse than the others. Then you have overperforming, where these characters you'll consistently do better than the other characters in lane, whether it be jungle, top, or bot lane. And please nerf. Just please do something about these characters. They are way too good. And today I have with me some of my close friends who are going to help me do the tier list. So first off, we got Jax. Give me your introduction. Let's go.
Hey, I'm Jackson. I've played jungle and pretty cheeky.
All right. Now we're heading over to XX Weeb, aka Christian.
Shut the fuck up. I don't know. I don't know. I play everything. I don't really care.
All
I
right.
use lane usually. I use lane a lot.
And I'm gonna give it to Luna09, aka Kyler.
Hi, I'm Luna09. That's crazy. I normally play support or lane, but if we're doing ranked, I play Snorlax, and only Snorlax.
Okay. So yeah, I have these guys here to help me today. They are very good gamers, whole shebang. All right, to start off, we're gonna go with Venusaur. I think Venusaur, well, he has the potential to be like an A, maybe even an S tier in some cases. I'm gonna have to put him down as situational due to the sole fact that if you do not have a consistent support or your entire team working for you, you're going to struggle. You cannot solo carry with Venusaur. I don't care where you're playing, whether it's jungle, top, or bot lane. Okay, so as the coveted Venusaur main, what do you have to say about this, Jackson?
So I like to play Venusaur in top and central. Venusaur, he's weak early. He needs that team support in order to get into the late game. I like to steal farm, accelerate my level progress, and abuse my stronger late game with things like Solar Beam and Sludge Bomb. My main game plan with Venusaur, I want to force Rotom, and then leverage my high damage Solar Beam or Razor Leaf to ensure that I get it. The main key about Venusaur is that I can last hit any minions whenever I please because I have the highest damage burst option in the game.
So what I'm hearing is the entire time you're just stealing farm, stealing objectives, like never like taking the advantage. Like you're not here to get kills. You're just here to deny them farm and then play for the late game, right?
And particularly, I want to get Zapdos at the end with my Solar Beam because I can flip a whole game on its head.
Yes, you always have to play for Zapdos. All right, now let's go into the next one. This is a character that both me and Jax play, but I think this character right here, he will get better as time goes on, guaranteed. He is high skill cap, just very weak early game. And that's going to be a consistent theme that you're going to see with all the situational characters. They're going to have points in the game where they're very weak, or like there's something that's holding them back, whether it be something that it's in the meta or something, just some extraneous factor that makes it so, like they could be really strong, but there's one of the things holding them back. And with Greninja, it's a very weak early game, unless you're playing him in jungle, where you can play basically everyone in jungle to give them the advantage, especially if they're weak early. It's just like their gank potential is not really there, and I kind of see the same thing with Greninja. So he can be like, you can dominate with him, but if you play very careful, very precise. next up on the tier list is Gardevoir. So, same thing with Greninja. Very weak early on. But if you're going to be playing her, I'd suggest Moonblast and I think Psyshock or Psystrike, whichever one has the 3 hits.
Psyshock.
Psyshock. There you go. Thank you. So you do Moonblast into Psyshock, Insane Burst, but until you get that, you're absurdly weak with, I think, just like this Psychic, or whatever her R
Psychic
move
is so bad.
It is trash. You're going to lose lane. It's hard to farm. So you can literally just like force Gardevoir out of lane, and she'll be freaking Curlia up until like 9 minutes. So
I think the trend with these 3 characters is that they're weak early game. Like they take a while to like build, but then like late game they do pretty good.
Yeah.
In certain situations.
They need a lot of babysitting. Coming up next, rounding out the situational characters is Crustle. Now, I'm not that big of a Crustle enthusiast. I don't play him that much. But from what I've seen, X-Scissor does a crap ton of damage. It's hard to kill him with shields. Rocks or Shell Smash is insane, but like he's easy to poke out, and he can secure kills and like go off, but not too often. I'm actually going to flip everything over to Christian, see what he has to say about the matter.
Okay, so my first main in this game was Crustle, just because he was like super like simple to play. I'm sorry. So yeah, Crustle's my first main in this game, and I just picked him because he was really simple to play. I went X-Scissor Shell Smash because I don't think Stealth Rock's that good, personally, just because X-Scissor is like strong and stuns if you hit them against the wall, so that's why it's really good. I picked Shell Smash because it's like it makes Crustle like insanely fast. It's like probably the fastest character in the game, which is Shell Smash. You just like have so much run, like you're just so fast, and like you get strong. You have like increased attack, but you have weakened defense, which is probably the weakness of Shell Smash. But I think the reason why Crustle's down here is because early game he's like decent. Like he gets Shell Smash like pretty early, but the downside is your basic attack is like really weak, and you don't really have any like quick clear options, so your clear is really slow, and then you get poked out like a lot because you don't have any ranged options. So there's nothing you can really do. Like if say like a Cinderace came over and started poking you out, the only thing you can do is just back off the tower because you can't really take a 1v1 yet until you get like X-Scissor and Shell Smash. I think Crustle's really strong like late game when he has his ult, because his ult's kind of crazy because he gets like a fat shield and he gets Shell Smash and like X-Scissor. I mean, you can play a Rock Tomb too, but I think it's also still like it's like eh. But yeah, I think he is decent like late game. Like he can support himself late game, but I think he's just really weak early game, and even late game he's like just like he's like eh.
I will say that if you want to like solo carry, highly suggest X-Scissor and Shell Smash. But if you're playing more like team comps and you do want to use Crustle, Rock Tomb is really good at trapping people in.
Mm-hmm.
And while like it's mostly for people that don't have like super high mobility, you trap them in, you can like execute them or like block them off in team fights. So Rock Tomb can still be used very effectively. It's just a little bit harder, and you won't be like solo carrying as Crustle if you do that. Okay, now we're gonna move on to consistent minus. So remember, they're like pretty closely consistent characters. It's like slightly, very slightly underperforming. Okay, first off, you have Absol. Everyone's like Bane, like day one. Hear me out. I think Absol is not good if you're not scared of him. Everyone's running away scared of Absol. Oh no, he can one-shot me, he can like destroy me. No. You're playing it wrong. What you gotta do with Absol is you see Absol come into lane, he's ganking you, he's probably playing jungle, he's ganking you. What do? You don't turn and head for the hills, because that's what he wants. All his abilities deal more damage, for the most part, when you hit from behind. Like Punish, you dash in, try to hit from behind, it crits, does an absurd amount of damage, will probably one-shot you. What you do is, when he's coming in, you just start attacking him. As soon as you see that dash in and he does the one swipe, you can either choose to disengage or engage depending on like your health and like the positioning of other characters. But like you need to just attack him as soon as he comes in, and then he's kind of useless until his ability comes back up. So I think that once people start learning how to play around Absol, he's going to like start falling down the tier list. People are going to think he's cracked, and it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy where it's like, oh, I think Absol's broken, I'm gonna run away from him. That's what he wants, so he kills you and he gets more broken. and it just snowballs from there. So once you start learning to be like aggressive towards Absols, I don't think he's going to be doing nearly as much damage and like carrying games the way you've seen from the first couple weeks. Alright, moving on to the next one is Wigglytuff. I think that Wigglytuff is actually pretty good. Sing is broken, you get the movement speed buff. Dazzling Gleam hits in an AoE in front of him, does an absurd amount of damage, can hit multiple targets. She's a debuffer that can do a lot of burst damage and get out. So I think she's very consistent, but I don't see a lot of people playing her, using her to like for the full extent of what she can do. So for now, I'm gonna keep her down here. I'm very tempted to move her up, but not for now. So next on the list, we're gonna have Garchomp. All those day one Garchomp mains running with Potion, Zeroara, very similar. He got a bad rap pretty fast. I don't think he's bad, but for this, I'm gonna toss it over to Kyler.
The one thing you have to know about Garchomp is he is amazing when he auto attacks. You have to auto attack. His abilities are just to help him auto attack more, because his abilities don't actually do a lot of damage. They are just there to support his auto attack. Because when you use Dragon Claw, one of the extra effects it does is after Dragon Claw ability ends, it increases your attack speed. And the ability on or his auto attack buff is every 5th hit it crits and heals you. And his actual ability is that the more he attacks, the higher his attack speed goes.
So what I'm hearing is this character is a very good brawler. He wants to stay in it longer. He gets like stronger the more he's in the fight. And like his abilities are really just to like engage, initiate the fight, not so much to try to like one-shot someone down like half the other cast. Oh yeah, okay. For anyone that's playing Garchomp out there, stop running in. You are not strong. Bulldoze and Sand Attack.
I'm running in level 3, you'll lose the fight.
You will lose every single fight 100% of the time. He is garbage early game. Just stop. The reason I'm going to keep him consistent minus is because his ult is just stupid. His ult does so much damage, AoE, and like you need like a brawler on the team. And he fits very well in this, but that's also why he's like not consistent. Because he still slightly underperforms. Next up on the list is Slowbro. So essentially, he is a very tanky support, but unlike the other kind of supports in the game, he really focuses on single target CC, whereas like Snorlax is more like group AoE fights. Same thing with like Mr. Mime and Eldegoss. They're all like AoE characters that help the entire team stay alive, whereas Slowbro is really good at like 2v2s and 2v1s. But outside of that, he kind of loses to a lot of the roles he's put in. So for instance, any of the ADCs, whether it be Pikachu, Cinderace, Alolan Ninetales, they will all just completely destroy him because they just poke him out slowly every time.
The thing with Slowbro is that he is really good at just taking somebody out of the fight by telekinesising them. So you have that telekinesis, the main AD character or the main damage on the enemy side.
A weakness of his is that when he is using telekinesis to stun the single target DPS, anyone that has a stun can interrupt it. Whereas with Snorlax, like all the other ones, they're like kind of guaranteed. This one it's a channel, and if that gets stunned, you're kind of useless. Like your ability's done. You don't really do anything.
We got Cramorant next, but I think that's capped.
You think this is Cat?
Yeah.
What do you want him?
I think he wants to be consistent. Like,
Okay, no, I think it should be consistent. The whole thing about like Cramorant is that he's like a DPS, but he's also at the same time like a crowd controller character because like he does a lot of damage with his abilities, but his abilities also like stun everyone up.
But then the problem is that he's weak against all the broken. He's weak against all the broken junglers in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I see it. Like Talonflame destroys him.
That's why you have to have actually maybe that's true. That's why he does a support with him.
I mean, he doesn't really. I think a sad kind of like a downside of Cramorant is he doesn't have an engage or like a disengage option.
Yeah.
If you like rush him down, he can't really run.
But
and if you run from him, he can't really catch up to you.
He seems to be like kind of like Venusaur plus, where you need support, but even without support, you're still okay. And with support, you're very accelerating. Because in a team fight, in a 5 versus 5, his abilities just are so big and they're so like AOE. he can deal a lot of
Yeah,
damage.
he's really good. He's really good in team fights.
Yeah, and his ult is also very strong in that same sense.
His ult's strong, but like in a team fight, it's really strong. But
Yeah. So
in a 1v1 situation, he's
his
actually
point
really
is
good.
I feel like
One
he
person.
wins team fights, but he loses 1v1s.
I
Yeah.
think he's kind of like, in my mind, he's like similar to Venusaur in that he needs support, but he just gives you a lot. He gives you more, perhaps more, and also he doesn't need as much support. You don't you don't need exactly Snorlax or Mr. Mime.
Yeah. So that is why I would say that he's consistent minus. Moving up the tier list, we have Machamp. This character, seismic tossing cross chop. So good. He's very good at taking you out from under the tower. So let's say you're fighting under tower. You're like a new kind of like a ADC. You're like a Cinderace playing under tower. He literally just grabs you, bonks you back out of tower. Then he can stun him out. He's very good at displacing your opponents when they're under tower, and that's like one of his strong suits. Also, he has unstoppable. A lot of the CC in the game, which like usually is guaranteed kills, he just runs through, doesn't care, then will kill you. So very good powerhouse, very consistent. You just have to make sure you don't get outranged, poked out by some of like the stronger like range champs in the game. Moving on forward, we have Alolan Ninetales. This one was one of my mains starting off when everyone was taking Cinderace from me. This character, very good, very consistent. Her passive lets you know if they're hiding in bushes because it'll come down and try to freeze them. Very good burst options. The only downside is low mobility, but her ability to like keep freezing people and like displacing them with like all her abilities are good. So a lot of people just run Blizzard and Avalanche, whereas I still think Dazzling Gleam pretty good. You know, she has a lot of like use cases where she plays more defensive with like Dazzling Gleam, where she's not going for like immediate burst, more like survival Pokemon kind of style. Or you go for, I'm gonna do my 1-2 combo, get the stun, get the freezes off, and then win. So okay, if you're going to run Aurora Veil, you do not use it selfishly. You need to place it like mainly like in team fights. You need to place it when you're getting like push, so that you can like drop them back. I don't think it's worse, but I still think like the 1-2 combo is still good and better. But you can still use it to like pretty good effect. And it like also buffs like your damage and crit rate on your auto attacks. Going into Talonflame next. Consistent. I've seen some people say he's trash. They're just confused. I don't know. They're throwing. Every single time they say that he's bad, they're throwing. And for this, I'm going to give it to our resident Talonflame main, Jackson.
Yes, I played much Talonflame as my first character, and I played it for about 50 games to great success. Talonflame just gives value game in and game out. He's really the most straightforward jungler in the game. You have massive burst and you're super fast. You clear the jungle and then you gank a lane, or you visit it after you clear your jungle camp, visit the top or bottom, and you just use your massive burst, see if it gets a kill, great. If it doesn't, you just leave. You're so fast, you don't lose very much for moving top to bottom wherever you're needed. This character gives you a lot of flexibility, unless you just it gives you value no matter how you play it. I would strongly recommend taking Brave Bird and Aerial Ace, because that maximizes your DPS. Your main game plan with Talonflame is to clear the Pokemon in the central area on spawn. So in your first clear, you can get Aerial Ace, you have a strong burst option that you can use to gank with, and then in your second clear, you get Brave Bird, which is really when your damage comes to life, and you can start doing massive damage to people. Your main idea with Talonflame is you can never do anything by yourself. You're always a team player, but because you can move so fast, you can always get away and get to positions and create player Pokemon advantages in different lanes, and really excel and do your main job, which is to accelerate the strength of your different lanes.
Mm-hmm. He's a very like team based character, but he's really good at just doing burst damage to like give you the one up in the fight, right? And he can constantly do that since he has like so much maneuverability throughout the map. He can help take objectives. He's your most basic jungler. He's not trying to go for a lot of kills. While he can get a lot of kills, he's just going for like ganks, ensuring that your lanes are staying like ahead of the opponent. And now we go to Mr. Mime. I've seen this character repeatedly said, trash, garbage, he doesn't do anything. I can't do anything with him, his auto attack sucks. This character is able to consistently out damage some of the highest DPS characters in the game. You will win almost every single 1v1 you're in. His ult is busted. He's just one of the best supports in the game. And you can always put in work with him. And for this, I'm going to give it over to Christian.
Okay, so I've been playing Mr. Mime a lot. I have 40 total battles, like an 81% win rate with Mr. Mime. It's pretty solid, pretty solid. Throughout my games, I've tried every moveset with Mr. Mime, with barriers, guard swap, psychic confusion. And I found that barrier is not actually, like, that great. Like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, yeah. But it's really, it's kind of hard to set up when you have barrier, you need to, like, confusion them into the barrier to, like, stun them, do extra damage. But the most optimal setup I found is guard swap confusion, because you can just guard swap someone, it slows them down, it makes you faster, so it's your engage option, because you just slow them down, you just run up to them. And then when they're guard swap, you can just, if you confusion them, it does extra damage and stuns them. Like, so you don't even need to hit them into a wall. You just get the free stun off the guard swap. It really chunks their damage, like, it chunks half their health, and makes them slow. So you literally just win I've won so many 1v1s against, like, actual DPSs, like Cinderace. Like, I just out-damage a Cinderace if he, like, comes at me. Because no one expects Mr. Mime to be strong. So they run at me, and I'm, like, running away, I bait him back, and you guard swap. You just turn them with guard swap, confusion. And then they're just dead. They're just dead. You get guard swap, confusion, they're slowed, you just slap them a bit, confusion again, boom, they're just gone. But I think another strong part about Mr. Mime is his ult, because his ult, like, it makes him really fast. He jumps into a space and, like, does, like, an AoE around him, or, like, pulsates damage, and it stuns everyone around him. And there are so many occasions I've been, like, taking 1v3s, 1v4s, and I just ult into them, and they all just die instantly. Because I just jump in them, stun them over and over and over again, do, like, half their health of damage, guard swap, and boom, confusion. They're all dead. Like, I've taken so many team fights with just Mr. Mime, and I've won all of them. He outputs insane amount of damage. And he's just, like, strong in, like, so many situations, and he's built to be a support character. Like, you can hold a lane with Mr. Mime by yourself and getting pushed by anyone, because you really just don't die, and you do so much damage that they can't really push up on you, especially if you play on the tower. So I think that's why Mr. Mime's, like, really strong here.
As someone who has seen all this firsthand, he is absurdly good. Does tons of damage. And I can, like, even show some, like, damage graphs if you want. This is the character that everyone said, worst character in the game starting off. Like, he doesn't do anything. He's bad. I saw a lot of people who were, like, F tier and tier list. Charizard. Charizard is disgusting. And here's why. He is not, like, he's not a Venusaur. You do not play him in lane. You need to play him jungle. And he's very similar to Talonflame in terms of his engage. You should be taking Flare Blitz and Fire Punch. Fire Punch does a lot more damage than Flare Blitz, but the reason Flare Blitz is so good is because it gives you a shield. Now, your entire thing is, okay, I go in, I have, like, Fire Punch them, and you lock onto him. Because his entire thing is his auto attack's channeled. It's not like a singular hit. It's a little bit over time. That starts burning. It slows, and you just, like, lock onto people until they die. And Fire Punch helps you with that. Flare Blitz keeps you alive longer, and you're doing this whole thing. You can output absurd amounts of damage and, like, be super consistent. You can take Dreadnought by yourself. You can take Zapdos by yourself, and this is without losing any health. And it's like you're just surviving on, like, the shield that Flare Blitz gives you. And then you do all this until you become Charizard. When you become Charizard, you can guarantee a win in every single team fight with his ult. His ult, like, similar to Mr. Mime's, is one of the best in the game. You're untangible to a lot of the CC in the game. Like, you literally just can't be stunned, and you're just outputting damage. You're healing up. As you deal damage in his ult, you start to heal based on the percentage that you're dealing, and then you don't, like, immediately seismic throw, but, like, once you're about to run out, you go up to someone, you press your ult button again, you take him up, and you can, like, you can execute people if they're, like, a little bit under half consistently. So please use this character. He's so much fun, does absurd amounts of damage, and I'm just tired of people throwing with Charizard. I see people use him so incorrectly. They try to bring him into lane. He's not good because people can just steal farm. Because you know how it's like a channeled auto attack. They just take it when you're like it's almost dead. You're not winning in lane. And that's my thoughts on Charizard. Next up, we got the man himself, Pikachu. He is like the base character that you all start off with. Has mad drip with his hoodie, and all his abilities are for the most part lock on. I suggest doing Electro Ball and Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt gets a stun. Electro Ball does a good burst damage. His ult hits just wins team fights because it hits literally everyone inside the AoE. His auto attack isn't that good, but overall he's just a consistent. I'd say AP carry in a way. A ranged AP carry. He has these periods of really good burst, not great at consistent damage over time, but yeah, use his character. You'll win games with them. They went to Zeroara. A lot of people think Zeroara is overpowered. I think with CC, you can easily stop a lot of the stuff he does when he engages. If you're going to play him, Discharge, go for it every time, and Spark. It'll leave you insanely maneuverable and being able to just win team fights. His ult also is a single target kind of burst down because it does initial hit damage. Then if you're inside the AoE, your attack sped up, you do more damage. I think your crit rate might be increased. I'm not sure about that, but very consistent character. If you know how to play him, you can win. Stop bringing him to lane though. I don't think he's that good in lane. A lot of these characters just keep them in jungle because otherwise they're going to get poked out and just lose over time. You're gonna eventually lose out to Cinderaces unless you're getting consistently fed through ganks. Next up we got Snorlax. Now Snorlax is a very good supporter. I would argue one of the best because he has really good damage on his takedown.
Heavy slam.
He has really good burst damage on his heavy slam, and it knocks people up. His block is amazing. His yawn is amazing. Like, you can play this character in so many different ways. Just don't take Flail. Flail is garbage. Every other ability though, you can use to like really good success. And just the amount of utility he brings to team fights will essentially win you the fights if you have like your Snorlax hitting their heavy slams, using their blocks correctly, like spacing, just tanking for the DPS in order for them to slowly take the lead. Anyone else have something to say?
Alright. Another thing about Snorlax is that he's really good at stalling out opponents. Like, let's say everybody goes down to get Dreadnought, and you're sitting top by yourself. Unless there's like 4 DPSs out top, you will usually be able to stall them enough so your team can literally go down, get Dreadnought, and then go all the way back up to go kill them, and you'll still be at like maybe a quarter of your health left. But that's usually enough to live because your team is about to come and destroy everybody up there.
Yeah, I think Snorlax is really good at holding a lane by himself. Because like his block and yawn abilities and his heavy slam, like they're all like really good like stuns. Like it just like shoves them back and like stuns them for a little bit. So he's just like good at like just shutting down whole teams. Because like once you get stunned, you just can't do anything.
It's important to note that many characters that we put in lower tiers that some may think are really broken are strong because you have Snorlax paired up with them.
Yes.
And in our opinion, it's not those characters being broken then. It's because Snorlax is such an enabler that he can make these other characters feel so strong. So that's why we're putting Snorlax so high up and some of these other characters a bit lower.
Yeah, if you ever have Snorlax underperforming, it's usually not it might be because of Snorlax missing a lot of stuff, but it's mostly due to whoever they're supporting not pulling their weight. Next is my favorite character. I play this character in literally every lane. Top, bottom, jungle, and will always at least get 10 kills. The thing with Cinderace is his kit is very good. When I first started off, I was like, okay, Blaze Click and like Flame Charge, like that's the move. But then I was like, wait, Fate's kind of cracked. Fate gives you like bonus to health on your next 3 autos after it's done. Gives you iframes. Pyro Ball is a little bit underperforming, but they're going to be buffing it soon. So if Pyro Ball gets buffed, I would say move away from Blaze Kick into Fireball, because while it does give him really good, like, if you want to play him jungle, I'd say still take Blaze Kick. It gives really good engage. The problem with Cinderace is if people can consistently keep getting in on you, like Snorlax, Mr. Mime, Slowbro, Wigglytuff, if they can get in on you, they can kill you. Same, or Lucario even. Like, his entire game plan is to stay back, auto attack, use your abilities, and just like do consistent damage from far away. His biggest weakness is that he cannot really survive getting CC'd and pressured out. For those that are struggling with Gengar and his like pretty big domination of the meta recently, the trick with Cinderace is he comes in, you Blaze Kick him, right? So you already got Sludge Bomb. Let's just Sludge Bomb. He's gonna hit the Sludge Bomb. You're not gonna avoid it. Or if you want to, you can avoid it with Flame. You can do that, but this is a bit more saucy. Let's say you already got hit. So you get Sludge Bombed. He goes in on you, first hits. You're probably gonna be pretty low. You Blaze Kick, get an auto off, and immediately feint. Your feint will last about like half a second, right? And then you can get another auto. So by this time, he'll only have maybe one other hex he can use on you, and you will not die. You can, like, depending on how fed he is, you most likely won't die. If you need to, you can flash out of the way. But then you just like you go back in, start nailing him down, and he can't do anything. So like you can 1v1 Gengar so easily, whereas I feel like a lot of other characters, if once Gengar's on you, you can't really do much. I feel like Gardevoir can. Venusaur, you're gonna die. Cramorant, you're gonna die. Yeah, a lot of these characters, once he's on you, you'll die. But Cinderace, he has a lot of options and tools to survive and win most matchups. He can also take literally every single objective in the game by himself, free. And like you can stand outside of the Zapdos like range and just auto him to death. It's so good. And coming up for the last ones, these characters are the most cracked, broken, frustrating things to deal with. And we have them here today. So first off, we're gonna go Lucario. This character, you just can't kill him. His passive Steadfast gives him a shield when he's at low health, and I think increases movement speed. He has like 3 dashes with his dash with Bone Rush, Power Up Punch, Extreme Speed. I'll say you should use it to Power Punch and Bone Rush. Like all his abilities like can still work. Everyone here has had issues with him, and let's see what else you have to say, Jackson.
This character is probably the easiest one to put in this broken tier. He's so instantly overbearing on the game. You can take him any lane, and he's strong from level 1. All his abilities are either high damage or a dash, which means that he can get in, do a lot of damage, and get out. Particularly, Power Up Punch is an excessively strong move. You can get in with massive damage. It's also a tool you use to get out. It's a low cooldown, so then that means that you can get in risk-free. On top of that, it's also zoned now because no one wants to get within a 1-mile radius of you when you're charging it up. And you can charge it for quite a while. All that put together, you have a move, and that's only one of his moves. He's so strong. And then on top of that, he has a get out of jail free card in his passive, which, like Jake was saying, increases his movement speed and gives him a small shield, which allows him to, on an ability which is always up, which he doesn't even have to activate, just allows him to just run away at his leisure when he's at low health. You can use both your dashes to get in and confirm a kill, and then use your passive, in my opinion, a third ability to get out for free.
So if you want to just keep outputting damage, not die, just play this character. He's so low risk, it's absurd. And then we're going to move on to the second one on the tier list, I would say, is Gengar. Now, Gengar, there are counters to him, but just Hex Sludge Bomb. I have nothing else to say to this. He can chunk your health. I've seen this man one-shot Venusaur. Like, there's no counterplay. Like, there is counterplay, but not really. If you want to steamroll kids in this game, just play this character. There's nothing else to say. He's so good. He can two-shot Snorlax. What? And it's just a dash. After you're like done hitting everyone, when everyone else has run out of like poison, and you're not gonna get the reset, just dash away.
I guess like to explain, if you hit someone with a sludge bomb, they poison them for a little bit, and then Gengar's Hex ability. If you dash onto them and do damage, and if they're poisoned, you get your Hex cooldown. Like it's like 1 second, so you can literally just sludge bomb and mash Hex on them because they're poisoned, and then you have no cooldown on your Hex.
Yep.
So you just do insane amount of damage just because they're poisoned after you hit the sludge bomb.
Yeah, it's not fair. Now for the last character. This character is the most annoying thing to go up against in lane. Eldegoss. Her healing, her shield, you could be over level against like the enemy bot, like let's say 2 bot lane. You could be over leveled against them, and they just will keep gaining health, keep gaining shield, not die, no matter how much damage you put into them. And she just increases the survivability of every single character in the team. And since it's AoE, if in team fights, she's absurd. Her ult does a massive amount of damage. Like there's no downside to this character aside from the fact that she doesn't have any hard CC. But as long as you bring some type of CC, like either top lane or like even in jungle, you're going to 100% win the game if you have Eldegoss and any CC. You're not the one that's carrying, but you're the reason that you're winning. You're not carrying, but you're the reason that you're winning. It's that. And with that, we got the tier list. So, again, none of these characters are trash. They all work. They all have their other plus sides, their downsides. Except for Gengar and Eldegoss. But, yeah. This is the tier list. This is Kyler, Jackson, and Christian, and have a good day.